Camphill Village is a place that seems more in tune with the rhythms of a medieval village than with the hectic culture of the 21st century. Set on 800 acres in the western foothills of the Berkshires, just over the New York border, this is home to 230 people who live a simple life of quiet purpose. About half of the residents here are what advocates term challenged, the kind of people we used to call mentally handicapped. Not long ago, they might have been locked up in state institutions. Here, they're simply known as villagers, and they are central to life in the community. Daniel Morse grew up in Millis, Massachusetts, and has lived at Camphill for 37 years.
Well, this is a home and working community for adults who can't get on living in the outside world, yet would needlessly waste away living in an institution and would also be a burden when living with their natural families. So here we get to live a normal life. And here we're sort of interdependent. We all help each other. I feel I'm helping other people and they're helping me in return. A place where I'd want to make my home.
The villagers live together as extended families in 21 houses, along with dedicated co-workers and their children. Co-worker families live at Camphill not as a job in the usual sense of the word, but as a way of life. They receive no pay for their work, only room and board. Work here is shared on an equal basis, with everyone at whatever level of ability contributing to the well-being of the community.
We try not to separate ourselves into classes according to who gets paid and who receives services. In order to really, truly live side by side and work side by side together with our handicapped friends, we have to figure out a way in which a lot of those barriers are broken down. I don't receive a salary, per se, for the work that I do, because we all do the work together.
Founded in 1961, Camphill Village is one of more than 90 Camphill communities worldwide. The movement began 80 years ago, based on the principles of philosopher Rudolf Steiner. Steiner believed each human is a unique spiritual being entitled to grow to full potential.
Everybody who lives in this village can really feel like, this is my village, I have a say in this. I'm needed here, I have a role to play that matters not only for myself, but for the others. The idea that people with so many different limitations and strengths can each have a vital role to play in a social organism is, it's magic.
The village supports itself in part by growing its own vegetables and fruits, putting up preserves, raising a dairy herd, and producing cheese and butter. There's a bakery, organic seed gardens, as well as several craft shops, where goods are produced for villagers' use and for sale to the public. Meaningful work is at the heart of life here.
We try to make work. We try that everybody's task is an important one and that it's meaningful, and that their contribution is necessary for the good of the whole. And for some people who come here, that's a new thing for them. They're not working to make money. They're working to help keep the community that they love going.
The day begins at Camphill the way it always has, down on the farm at dawn. A dozen villagers gathering for barn chores and to milk the community's 20 cows by hand.
There's about 17 people work on the farm. Many of our farmers have been with us a long time. A few of the guys have been milking cows for like 30 years. You know, it's a kind of real vocation. You know, everybody identifies, I'm a farmer. You know, it feels a real great feeling. Pride, you know, I'm a farmer, these are my cows. I think the very nature of farming, it's very meaningful work. It's very tangible.
In his 2 years at Camphill, Adam Fairbank has become a dedicated farmer and a top milker.
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like that I want to become a dairy farmer, and I would like to work on a farm of my own. If I see a job I go straight for it and I go and get it done without anybody asking me to. And I'm very good at that. Around 7, we start milking, and then afterwards, we take the cows back out to the fields, which is like a journey. It's like a nice thing to do, to be connected with Mother Nature. Just out walking around and enjoying the birds and the sky. And it's just like what my mother told me. You never know when there's going to be a perfect picture.
Camphill Village would have a very hard time existing without the villagers, because who they are and what they have to give to us allows us to be here. They're the social glue that holds it all together. They have lots to teach us about working out of love and freely giving all you can, because so many of them live out of that. So they're actually a constant source of inspiration for all of us. They help us in the practice of selflessness.
Mary Logan had always cared for her daughter Maria at home. But when Maria became a teenager, Mary knew she had to find her a place to live where she could be with friends. Mary is so grateful for the way her daughter has flourished at Camphill. She often comes to the community herself to lend a hand.
I live a life without guilt, and I think that's very important. We all want our children to be happy and to be productive and to have friends and to be loved. And this is what Maria has found here in the community. Before, she was very fearful of leaving my side. And now she will walk in the dark to go from one place to another. She knows where she's going. She has sort of a proprietary feel about the place. You know, these are her people, this is her house, a sense of belonging. I think it's this sense of love and affection and being independent at the same time.
All right. She should wear something cooler.
Camphill co-workers call it social therapy. A life of sharing and working together, they say, helps unfold the dignity of each human being. It is the core belief of the community and what accounts for their success.
Social therapy is creating a social environment in which people can live together and share their life with each other in such a way that they have something to give and something to receive from each other. Everyone who lives here is a recipient of the social therapy because it's something totally mutual. And everybody who gains something from living in the village gains the most from what they give to others.
Camphill Village does not exist in a vacuum. The community is fully licensed by the state of New York to work with people with developmental disabilities. In the 1970s, when Dr. Alan Miller was the head of the state's Office of Mental Retardation, he was asked to investigate Camphill by a friend whose son had come to live here. He was impressed by what he found.
What you see is the most amazing rapid transformation among the people who come to live here. I saw that first with that first young man about whose father said, "Why don't you go down and see what they're up to?" Because I had known him as a teenager back in my hometown as a depressed, isolated, rather unhappy 17-year-old. And the next time I saw him was after he had been here a few months. And here was this strapping, self-possessed man with some sense of dignity. Everything about the way the place is organized really has managed to achieve a profound respect for each other.
The sense of community at Camphill is enhanced by an active social and cultural life. There are no televisions here, and each evening villagers visit each other in their homes, gather to make music, or put on community theater performances they have created.
There is no television blaring in the living room, and so what happens is the villagers go from house to house and sit and visit with their friends. And so when you come into a house during these evening hours, you'll find a group of people sitting around visiting together and talking. It's a wonderful social environment.
The Camphill Ensemble, featuring handbells, chimes, and lyres, practices regularly in the village's cultural center, Fountain Hall. The group has performed in benefit concerts at Alice Tully Hall and Carnegie Hall in New York City. World-class musicians such as Andre Watts and Richard Good also performed in those concerts and often come to play here at Camphill as well.
I remember my first experience of Camphill, wondering what it would be like, and I found that it was an extraordinarily exhilarating experience. In fact, it's one of my favorite places to play music. In the world outside Camphill, I don't see enough examples of people fulfilling their maximum potential, and also of people with this sort of palpable love between people, and people who seem productive and happy. And when I come here, I see that the co-workers and the villagers exist in this kind of mutual relation, which seems to me so harmonious that I have to say that it's a quite unusual thing in the world. It's a wonderful experience.
Each morning, Ben Berry leaves his house early so he can go out of his way to pick up his friend Christina and help her get to work on time.
I don't know where it is that Ben first met Christina, but he was fairly new in the village when he met Christina, a young woman who needs a lot of special care and attention, and he decided he wanted to give that to her. And so, out of his own initiative, he began going to her house to pick her up for work, because she needs someone to take her to work, and he decided that could be his task. And so over the years, he's become a very important person in her life. And she's become a very important person in his life, because they need each other.
Come on, Christina, let's go. Come on, Christina, let's go.
Many residents are changed by their experiences here. Some might wonder what it is about this place and these people that causes someone like Ben, with so many needs of his own, to reach out and help someone even less fortunate.
It's actually a joy for all of us to see the two of them interacting, and this faithful way that he never forgets her and always makes sure she gets to her workplace. There's a lot of that in the village. I think it's one of the things that makes this village so appealing. This is a place where people can have a life of their own and develop extraordinary relationships.
That's the cat.
Every Thanksgiving, everybody sort of goes to their families, and this was just the day before I was bringing her back here, and her father had left, and we were talking about going back to Camphill, and all of a sudden she turns to me and she says, "Everybody loves me." I just looked at her and thought, wow. I mean, how many people can say that in this world? Everybody loves me. It was wonderful. So I think that helps you to know what community can mean to someone like Maria, where she does feel loved.
Living together with people with disabilities is a privilege. Most of these people are so developed in terms of virtues of basic human goodness, particularly love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, patience, these kinds of things which most of us either are struggling to develop or aren't even trying. And while they may not have the intellectual edge that other people have, it's actually, in terms of what it means to be a human being, an experience of meeting people who are really highly developed. And so they have a lot to give, they have a lot to teach. It's a privilege for all of us.